The YouTubers Union, something of which I am not particularly a fan of, though I commend the efforts of the people running it. I mean them no disrespect. I am just not a banding type person. Though I understand the value of collective bargaining, I don't want to be involved in your thing. I want to be left alone, okay? When I play video games, Magic, Warcraft, I'm a rogue. I don't want to follow your rules. I don't want to tell you what to do. Don't tell me what to do, because I've found in my life, as an individual, I'm able to function quickly, more efficiently, and while I could give you guidance to improve your system, I don't want to deal with why I should explain to you why what you're doing is bad. So here's the thing. The YouTubers Union is actually serious. They actually have some serious power that's going to be leveraged against YouTube in Europe. I kid you not. Two big important points taking away from their recent announcement is that if YouTube doesn't come to the union, which does have some big creators, like 15,000 channels maybe, we'll read through this, they're going to go after YouTube from the GDPR, which basically states, this is their argument, under this new law in Europe, you have to give any data you have on an individual to the individual if they request it. So if someone gets demonetized, that report as to why must be shared, so they're in violation of the GDPR. But more importantly, under European law, and because of like what we're seeing with Uber and all that, YouTubers might be considered falling under false self-employment. This is their argument. Regardless, it seems like the YouTubers Union is not messing around. Now, this is going to have massive consequences for the YouTube community, and I'm going to say straight up, I do not see this working for a few reasons, and one of them is exactly why I would never be involved in a union. I'm successful. I recognize that. I also work very, very hard. And one of the reasons why I can appreciate the idea of collective bargaining but don't want to be involved myself is that I want to plan for myself, take care of myself, and not have to worry about 15,000 other people I don't know, who I might not share values with, and who may actually cause me harm. One of the biggest problems here is with bigger YouTubers, successful YouTubers, what do you want me to do to protect someone who may have done something wrong that I don't know anything about? I am not going to give up my independence to someone else and cross my fingers that it helps me. I think we should just make sure we're planning outside of YouTube, and this is one of the big problems with YouTube. Too many people treat it like a job. It's a business. If you only produce on one platform, well, you're gonna be in trouble. My content appears on many different platforms, and it's an hour-and-a-half long podcast every day on all podcast platforms. Though the bulk of what I do is on YouTube, I have made sure to keep all my eggs in one basket. Thus, I am not an employee of YouTube. I just use their system. While I certainly think YouTube has a lot to be criticized for, and they have some great arguments, man, I would never want to be in a union like this. But let's read to see what they're doing, because whether you like the idea or not, it's going to have a massive, massive impact on what YouTube does moving forward, at least in Europe. But it may trickle out into the US. And I also want to stress, this may actually, there are some pros and there are some cons in terms of censorship, because they have proposed like a community standard thing that's like multi-company wide. But I'm not too sure they're going to be for defending American-style free speech, as they're mostly European, and this could create more problems for us here. But let's read the story. From Motherboard, Vice.com. The YouTubers Union, a community-based movement fighting for the rights of content creators and users, has joined forces with IG Metall, Germany's largest union and Europe's largest trade union. Together, they have launched a joint venture called FairTube, and sent a letter of demands to YouTube accompanied by a video explaining their concerns, demands, and plan of action. The move is one of the most significant organized labor actions taken by creators on the platform, and puts some actual union power behind what has thus far been a nascent and disorganized movement. In recent years, YouTube creators have consistently spoken out about changes to the massive platform that they say are rarely consulted on that affect their ability to make money. For example, YouTube has repeatedly changed how it handles copyright takedown requests. YouTube has also controversially demonetized or issued content warnings to some innocuous channels. One of the creators leading the unionizing charge is Jorg Sprave. Sprav? Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Has had his popular slingshot videos removed by YouTube. And so it's no wonder that he has led the charge here. His channel, if you've never seen it, was the Slingshot channel, I believe, and he made fun toys that launched things. I guess technically you could call them weapons, because they were fairly powerful. But he was just a gadget hackery channel, okay? He was making interesting gadgets and gizmos. He wasn't intending on hurting people. It was just cool wooden machines and slingshots and, throwing blades and stuff. Yeah, it's dangerous. And this is why the arbitrary rules of YouTube are a problem. So I can understand why he's looking for union power. But I can also understand that he's looking for union power because he was negatively impacted by YouTube, which I can understand. Now, keeping in mind, I've also been negatively impacted by YouTube in various ways, and I completely disagree with his approach to it. Now, we'll get into union stuff in a second. I will talk about how I feel about unions. We aren't demanding things that cut into profits or are unrealistic. We want fairness. We want transparency. We want to be treated like partners, and we want personal communication instead of anonymous communication, Sprav told Motherboard. In the video announcing the move, IG Metal's Vice President Christian Benner, Sprav said, "The partnership meant a completely new time begins. It is no longer the case that we are helpless against YouTube with the IG Metal. We have a strong, strong partner," Benner added. "We know from experience that together we can achieve a lot." So what do they say? Oh, let's read on, because I want to make sure I get to the point where they have actual vectors of attack against YouTube. And I mean metaphorically in terms of labor organizing. They have actual legal grounds to win. It's kind of interesting. Sprav traced the origins of the problem leading to his recent move back to changes in YouTube's relationship to advertisers following 2017's Adpocalypse. In 2017, major advertisers organized a boycott of YouTube after learning their ads were running alongside extremist content videos and demanded that Google-owned platform implement brand safety controls. While the changes kept advertisers on the site, they also changed YouTube channels to make money from ad revenue. According to Sprav, the door was now open to more threats of advertiser boycotts as a tactic to gain leverage over YouTube. Advertisers want control over content that they are displaying against, like in magazines, Sprav told Motherboard. YouTube previously did not allow this, but caved in after the companies threatened to leave. Yes, thanks to the likes of people like, organizations like Motherboard. This year, another adpocalypse looms. We get it. We've seen this stuff. I want to get to the union stuff. They say, tick-tock, the clock is ticking. They're giving until the end of August for YouTube to enter into negotiations. Otherwise, they're going to take legal action, which could have damaging repercussions for everybody. The one thing I will tell you right now, because I have to say it, the one thing I despise about among all other things that unions do is they force you to join the union. No way. I would refuse the job if at any point, I will say this, if at any point a union was implemented and an agreement was made with YouTube that would force YouTubers into that union, I will delete everything. I will delete it all. I refuse, because that bothers me to no end. I'm not going to rant on this stuff. I will get to it in a second. Let's read the story, because I'm going to go on for a long time. They say, even before the Adpocalypse, the top 3% of YouTubers got close to 90% of all traffic, and even then, their average income was around $17,000 a year, according to a study by Matthias Bartel, a professor at Offenburg University. The combination of threats by advertisers that have empowered them to change who gets monetized, the increasing inability to make a living, and the opaque nature of how these rules are being constructed have left YouTubers feeling that the golden age of the platform is long over, and it is. And I don't know what to tell you other than it's going to be harder for smaller creators to get onto YouTube. That's a fact. And I rely on your word of mouth now to support this channel. But I also think about what was the world before YouTube and what should be done about it. I think regulation makes sense only because the political ramifications of what YouTube does, Twitter, Facebook, etc. And I know that could be damaging to my business. Don't care. Principle comes first. When you look at how it's mostly Facebook and Twitter, mostly Facebook, but YouTube does play a role a bit. Now, YouTube's much, much less of a big player in how politics are being shaped in this country, but they do play a role. So regulation is different in the sense that protecting free speech, removing restrictions is what I'm more interested in. This seems like implementing restrictions, like, I guess technically you could call the regulation restricting YouTube from banning people, but the general idea is to make the platform more open, not less. I'll get into the union stuff because I want to focus on what their vector. Here we go. Here's the quote. The rights provided to people under the GDPR are all about their relationship between a data subject and a controller, about what rights the subject have and what responsibilities and obligations a controller has. IG Metal's project secretary said, the right to be informed if a controller is storing personal data about you and what they're doing with it. The right to receive a copy of all the data they have about you. The right to have that data corrected or forgotten. Silberman said that thanks to a recent court case, judges confirmed that people have the right to communication to the person in an intelligible form. Okay. This is important for a host of reasons. If the case can be made that YouTube's categorizations for creators constitute personal data, then the list of demands by FairTube, which is what they call their union, would have to be met in full. Part of this is going to depend on if they say it will be our approach to do the minimal amount possible to be compliant with the law, or if they will take the attitude that we care about YouTubers and care that they are having a severe mental health problem as a result of living under algorithmic management. No one told you have to be on YouTube. No one told you have to try to be successful. And no one told you have to operate a business at a loss. YouTube exists. Use it or don't. I think there are problems with the way YouTube operates. I get it. Some people are cut out and others aren't. This sounds to me like an attempt at cutting off the tall grass. People like me who are able to function completely fine, although I've faced problems for sure, and I think YouTube should be called out. But I have no problem working 12 hours, 7 days a week. It's fun. It is relaxing. This is therapeutic. I am not stressing. I am not panicking. I'm not sweating bullets. It's actually giving me a way to vent what I see and experience with politics. It's good for me. You can tell I can talk forever. Imagine what it's like when I wasn't doing this. I'm sitting there in the room muttering to the wall for 5 hours a day. I'm kidding. But that's the joke. This, for me, is my outlet. It's what works for me. There are now a bunch of people who are angry and are trying to force YouTube to change the system because what they do doesn't work on YouTube. I think that's the wrong approach. I think if you sell a product and eventually your product becomes something people don't want, or there are issues relevant to the changing of the product or a changing of the space you're in, I don't think you should then force the system to stagnate because you are unhappy. There are problems here. It's a double-edged sword, okay? Listen, I don't like the fact that YouTube is propping up big corporate players, but I will adapt. And here's what I say in most of my videos. Share this video if you think it's important. If you don't think it's important, I don't deserve to be shared. We know right now the big corporate players have existed for decades with massive power, and they will continue to. YouTube used to be a place that propped up the independent creator, and now it doesn't. What do you do about it? Play smart. I don't like the idea that someone's going to come in, rally a bunch of people, tens of thousands, and then tell YouTube to lock down and change in a way that may be detrimental for YouTube because they can't figure out how to adapt or they don't want to. I fully recognize there will come a time where the YouTube algorithm changes and my content doesn't work anymore, which is why I produce content for other platforms. The last thing I'm going to do is say, I'm really successful on YouTube, a combined 1 million+ subscribers on this platform between 3 channels, mostly 2 channels. So what should I do? I should get a bunch of people together and put our pressure on YouTube so they can't make changes that would hurt my money-making venture. No, I don't think that makes sense. I do think there are problems. I don't know how to solve them, but I will never, never, never support or join a union like this. YouTube recently deranked independent commentary. That negatively impacted me, Dave Rubin, Kyle Kalinske, David Pakman, Steven Crowder, all of us. My response? If you like the video, share it. There you go. And I'm going to keep doing what I do. I am not going to say, you guys should come to me so we can force YouTube to exist in the manner we see fit so that we, the current iteration of successful YouTubers, can survive. Think about all the YouTubers who've come and gone. Think about the people who operated a business and then retired from it. People had YouTube channels and then eventually said, it's not what I want to do anymore. The treadmill is speeding up not necessarily because of what YouTube is doing, but because of market competition. And that I recognize, and so I diversify my business. I have other plans you can't even see. I've done tech consulting. I've done marketing consulting. I know that things change, and they change fast. So anyway, the GDPR argument is actually really, really interesting. I do think what's going to end up happening is, I think they may actually gain ground. The false self-employment rule they've presented is really interesting. And they've got one of the biggest unions, if not the biggest, I think they mentioned, the biggest union in Germany now behind them. Let me make sure I can get this right. It's IG Metall. So where's the link? Okay, Germany's largest union and Europe's largest trade union is behind the YouTubers union. That's power. They're not playing around. They're going to have the resources to play this game, and they're going to come at YouTube hard with the legal assets to take them on. And they have, what I've seen, 2 really great arguments, self-employment and the GDPR. That's going to hurt YouTube, and it may impact us. I can't blame them for doing it, but I'll tell you this. They're going to do it. Go for it. I got no beef. I'm going to be over here doing my thing. And I'm going to be preparing for the fallout of when this comes through. Well, I'll admit, there may be good things gained for everybody on YouTube by what their union does. There could also be some massive unintended consequences, like YouTube saying, you know what, we're axing the partner program outright. That way no one can be in this union anyway if they've got complaints and we don't want them. They're not employees. We're not employees. You can make the argument you might win. So YouTube's response, okay, you don't make money anymore. Only select creators can make money, and fine, they'll be employees. But YouTube has already been taking action to get rid of the majority of the people in the partner program. People are being removed every day, and people are struggling to even get in it. And there you go. And it may be due to this. They may be staring and saying, oh, we do not want to play that game. We don't want people with ads on their content we can't vet, and we don't want them claiming to be employees. Just get rid of them. It's not worth the $10 they would have made this month. Now, granted, he talks about an average of 17,000, but you got to recognize there are a lot of channels that are making a ton of money. And most of the money is coming to the top creators. In fact, I think most of the money comes to the top 40,000 out of like 65 million accounts. How many of those need to be in the partner program? Well, YouTube's getting rid of most of them. I'm worried if they move forward with this, YouTube's response will be, all right, we're shutting down 80% of the partner program outright. Problem solved, right? YouTube doesn't need to worry about all of these smaller channels when they've caused a headache for them to begin with, and they've been trying to get rid of these channels anyway. So that's what I see happening. I see, here's what I see, and I'm trying to be nice. I like this guy's channel. I respect what he's trying to do. But to me, I see a guy who had a big channel, who built a career on it, had his career negatively impacted, and it's the result of assuming you can run a business through one distribution method. Think about that. Think about if you produced widgets and there was only one road servicing your factory. One factory in the middle of nowhere with one road, and one day there's an earthquake, and now there's no road. And now you're mad and you demand the government come and fix that road, and they're like, we'll get to it. You shouldn't have had just the one fact. Once you get to a certain point, you got to diversify. Explore other platforms, create a website, create other shows, sell those shows. With his level of notoriety, in my opinion, I don't know if maybe he did, he should have approached Discovery Channel and other networks and created a package and a program and say, what can we do to distribute this and sell it on other networks? I'm doing that. Okay, the alarm went off. I'm going to end the video now. Stick around. Next video at 4 p.m. youtube.com/Timcast. And I will see you all next time.